Hi everyone, this is Chris McDonald with RunSignup and Doug Thomasy with Blue Ridge Timing, and we're here to chat with you about Agee timing and also how it integrates in with a lot of the RunSignup RaceDay tools. So right now we're looking at Doug's screen, and so he's going to go into assigning bib numbers and pushing those to RunSignup, doing some changes and how that affects going back and forwards. And then I'm going to take the controls and we're going to go through some bib assignment and check-in app scenarios through RunSignup's products. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let Doug go. So here is Doug Thomasy.
Hey, fellow Agee timers, this is Doug Thomasy. Nice to be on this webinar with everybody to show a little bit about what the integration is all about. So to start, I know Brian was asking about what version of the software I was using, so I'll start there anyway, just to make sure we're all good. So file 1.5.2.23. So I'm hoping that's a good enough version for Brian. But in any case, at this point, all we've done is made a kind of a dummy race. So in the timer dashboard within RunSignup, we just made a simple Agee bib assignment test race. And if we go to see kind of what participant data we have, currently we're looking at, I believe, 4 participants. And if you notice, there's no bib number assigned. So the 2 scenarios we're gonna go through. One is when you assign bib numbers within Agee, and then the second is when you kind of assign bib numbers within RunSignup. So first and foremost, go into the Agee race software. If we go to that one page, or one race, sorry, notice that there's no athletes currently listed. And again, just keep in mind here, bib numbers have not been assigned in RunSignup. We're gonna do so in Agee. So if we go to, sorry, my thing's in the way here. So if we hit the sync button, that should pull over our participants, and it'll ask you what bib numbers you want to start with. So if you start with number 1, you can start with number 1. So just for kicks, we'll start with number 100. And it's kind of also nice to point out here too that there's 2 checkboxes within Agee, so it will require bib number. If that was to be selected, you know, if someone, say for instance, didn't have a bib number, they would not be pulled over. So that's something to consider too if you haven't if you have other registration processes going on. But in any case, we're going to assign bib numbers to everybody. So quite frankly, they don't need a bib number. So if I hit OK, you'll see that those 4 participants have been assigned those 4 participant numbers. So Brian could probably answer this a little better, but if I hit sync again, I should get a prompt to push it back to RunSignup. I think at times I get that, other times I don't get it, but again, I think Brian would have an answer there. So that's as simple as it can get right there. If you want to change a bib number, so let's say for instance, Ken Clark, which was bib number 100, forgot their bib number, you can just simply double click participant, give them the next available bib number, as in 105, and then if you go ahead and hit save, that bib number has been changed. And I know now, if I were to hit sync, I should get that prompt, right? So do you want to update the website participant list? I'll hit yes. And what this is going to do is essentially any data that I've changed in Agee will be then changed back to RunSignup. So we'll wait for that status bar to go. And now if I go back to RunSignup and do a simple refresh, I should see the bib numbers pop up. So that's kind of the most simple way to assign bib numbers within Agee. And I would say that's the first kind of, you know, duty we have for today. Chris, does that sound good? We'll move on to option 2 if you're good with that.
Yeah, I think so. I think Brian has a couple of notes in here about the on RaceDay, the required bib number is checked automatically. Okay. And that prompt the prompts you were talking about only appears when changes are made in the software. Gotcha.
All right, so moving on, we're gonna go ahead now and clear the bib numbers out of RunSignup and act as if RunSignup, and this is the system I use. I designate RunSignup as my master database, basically transparency between myself, the race director, and anyone else who has access to the data. If anyone makes a change, they don't have to email, they just simply go into RunSignup and make the change. So I always consider RunSignup as my master database, again, based on transparency. So if we go into Go RaceDay, and then assign bibs and chips. And down here, you're gonna have an option for clear assign bibs and chip numbers. Just select the right event. clear the bib numbers, and you get that green status bar, which is always nice, and it should be done. So now going back to the participants, you'll kind of see that we're going to start from scratch again. So now you have a number of different options in terms of what you would like to do. And this again is more typical for myself, speaking anyway. So essentially, participants would register. Once registration's essentially coming to a close, or race directors want to make packets, what you could do then again is go into Go Race Day, bibs, assign bibs and chips. And I guess I should go back. Sorry if I'm jumping around here, but I'm actually going to go ahead and clear out all the participants in the Agee software, just because I want to act as if I'm starting from scratch here again. So again, no participants here. All of our data is within RunSignup. And now if I go and I assign bibs automatically, again, you can select your races. You can start at whatever number you would like. And then once you assign bib numbers, that's it. So that's similar to what we did in Agee before, except now everything's in RunSignup. And like I said, for myself, I always use and consider RunSignup as my master database. So if I go to participants, you notice those participants are assigned the bib numbers 500 through 503. Now if I go back to my Agee and click on my sync button, sorry, my thing's in the way here. All right, so you'll get the prompt now. Do you want to use the bib numbers that are assigned from RunSignup? And of course you would, because they're again assigned there. And that's it, you're in business. So just like before, again, if like Captain America for some reason forgot their bib or lost it, you can essentially assign them the next bib number in line, which is 504, and hit save. And again, once you hit sync, that should push everything back to RunSignup. So that's what we essentially changed, and you always get this record. But in any case, the bib number was 500. We changed it to 504, so we're going to continue this. And again, this is Captain America. So when we go back to our RunSignup page, and just do a simple refresh, Captain America should go to a 504. Now, one thing, I don't know, as a timer, if I have a really big race and I get that update participant right before the event, I tend to hit no. And Brian, I don't know if you can maybe adhere to this or something, but if I have 600 people and you hit update participants, it might take a little while. So if you're doing a sync right before the gun. So again, if I were to change something or do a last import, you get that option to update website. So this option here, I don't know, at times it could be a little bit troublesome if it's like right before the start. So just be cautious, but you can do it at any time. But again, I would just be a little bit cautious if you're, right before the gun time. But I think that's all I got. I think I'm going to pass it over to Chris now. He'll be talking more about the RaceDay, or sorry, the check-in app, and I think that'll be very, very useful for a lot of us, including myself. So Chris, you ready for me to transfer over to you?
Sure.
All right.
All right. So I've got the same thing. I might have to hit refresh just because a few changes have been made on the actual RunSignup dashboard. But just off to the side, I do have a mirror of my phone. And I happen to be using an iPhone XS. So it is the iOS platform, but it's very, very similar on Android devices. So I'm just going to go in really quickly. Well, first I'm going to hit just refresh just to make sure everything is in there. And we're going to go in and view participants, because I think we have some bib numbers already assigned, and we do. So as you can see, bib numbers are assigned. And so the first step of what I wanted to show is just general check-in app. So the check-in app, and I'll back out one, the check-in app that you're going to be looking for is RD Check-in, which is right here. So if I click it, I can actually clear out the entire database by clicking the setting at the bottom, and it will remove all events in there, and then I can search for Agee. So what I've done to set this up is I went in to Go Race Day, because if you just go in and start searching for your event, it will not be there if you have not turned it on. So I went into Go Race Day under this event, and I've gone into the RaceDay check-in and the check-in app. If you click that, I went ahead and made a super secret password. And on almost all of my events that I help out with, I actually enable check-in quite early, and that's only so I can test out settings and whatnot on my phone. So I usually make a password that the volunteers are, I'm okay with sharing with the volunteer. And so the password, which is hidden right now, is actually password 99 for this event. I've enabled check-in as of yesterday. Check-in is good through the theoretical event date. So May 18th, I just made it at 10 a.m. just to have it done, and I hit save settings. So once that's done, you can come in and pull down and search for your event, click on your event, and I can put in my password and get into the event. So right now we've got our 4 people. And with a 4-person event, it'd be super easy. You can scroll, you can see everybody at the same time, no big deal. However, there are 3 ways of finding people in the check-in app. One is scrolling. For larger events over 100 or medium-sized events over 100 participants, it's only going to load the first 100 people in the search pattern. After that, you're going to need to search. So if I just click in here and type in, I don't have to get very far before it starts sorting people out. The other way you can search is super cool, and we'll get into that in a little bit later, but this function right here is a camera function. And the first time you use it, it'll ask for access to your camera. However, after that, it will not. So the first time I used it, it's not going to ask. But the moment I hit that camera function, it pulls it up, and now I can scan a barcode or a QR code. So if you're ever the one sending out pre-race emails and using the email marketing functions, one really quick, and we're not going to get into email marketing at all, I just want to show you, you can send out an email to your current participants, and at the top of your email, you can put in, if you scroll to the bottom, you can click show on replacement tags. You can scroll down to registration QR code, and we'll copy that and we'll bring it back up, and we'll quite literally, for a lot of my events, I'll paste that at the top of the event. And so then I'll type in whatever pre-race deal that you want to talk about. And this puts a QR code at the top. And so when you want to use this function for checking people in, if people brought their pre-race email, you can quite literally scan their phone and it'll bring up their participant instead of having to search for it. Again, with 4 participants, not that big of a deal. Yeah, the search functions for larger events it comes in quite handy. So one other thing that I'd like to talk about on the actual app itself, if I click in the little hamburger at the top left and open it up, you get a number of different things. Settings is something that I go into usually on like Tuesday or Wednesday of event week and begin setting things up for my event. So I do not usually edit the preset because I want to know that I've created my own preset. So I would create, right now Agee 5K is set to default preset. I'm going to go to add preset. So when I go to add preset, I can make an Agee preset. So this is a 5K, it's timed, so we're going to make sure that the bib number is not optional. The bib number is required. Group bib numbers are for team races, or if you're doing group bib numbers for a triathlon relay, which in all honesty might not be applicable at all for the Agee system. So in this scenario, we're going to skip it. So as I scroll down, the bib number is selected to show. The waiver signed, in this scenario, I know everybody signed up online, so I don't care to see whether or not the waiver was signed. So this might be a strange concept, but in a lot of instances, I actually suggest to remove the age from the check-in app. The reason being is because I think we have Clark Kent, if we go into our participants, or we'll pick one of these people. see, age 46, right? So we'll just go with Clark. So he might be number 502, but let's say we were using bib numbers 1 to 100. So maybe Captain America is bib number 46 and Clark Kent is bib number 99. So a lot of times volunteers don't pay that close of attention. And so they might give out bib number 46 to Captain America, or sorry, bib number 46 to Clark Kent, even though Captain America at this point is bib number 46. So I do recommend, if possible for your event, going ahead and removing age. If you need to see it during check-in, then by all means leave it. So registration date is usually not that important unless you have a t-shirt cutoff date that you need to make volunteers aware of. The giveaway is your t-shirt or what have you, or t-shirt, hat, whatever you're giving away during registration. I also many times remove the ability to uncheck in. When you have this option available, there is the ability for a volunteer to clear the bib number. And as a timer, that probably scares the mess out of you. So you can make different presets for different people, but for normal volunteers, I do recommend not allowing uncheck-ins. Preserving bib on event transfer, that is if you do allow event transfers that bib number 502, if they switch to the 10K in this event, they would keep bib number 502. These prevent duplicate bibs and validating bibs, basically make sure that no one else is using those bibs. And we will get into this function right here, the auto show camera on bib assignment. The auto show camera on bib assignment is for those of you that have barcodes on your bibs and want to dynamically assign bibs by scanning the barcode on it. So you could theoretically send out that QR code on an email, scan it, so Captain America shows up, and he has no bib number assigned. And then auto show on camera, as soon as you hit check-in, that camera pops up and you scan that bib number, and it auto assigns that bib number to the person, which can be helpful if you're worried about a volunteer having fat fingers and miskeying a dynamically assigned bib number. So with these presets, all we have to do with all that we have, and again, it's called Agee preset, we just hit this arrow in the top left, and now we have an Agee preset. And so what we have to do now is from the default preset, we use the drop down and we select Agee preset. So the other things that we can do, we can select hide checked in participants if you wanted to. A lot of times what people like is they like to see the bib number on that main screen. So now I can go hit this bottom button and hit upload configuration. And I can make this AG1, or we'll make it 19. And we'll save it. This is not a global preset. This is a preset just for this event. So now that this has been uploaded, we can go back and we see the bib number and we see that none of these people are checked in. So all you would have to do if you're scrolling or searching for, say, the Incredible Hulk, we click on the Incredible Hulk. Now we have all of that information that we removed is gone, and we have what we need. Incredible Hulk is in the AG5K. He's not checked in, bib number 501, male, extra large shirt. So we know what to give him. And all we have to do is hit check in, and he's checked in. So then we hit the back button to go back, and we see he has been checked in. Now, let's say you've set your staff alongside the check-in or at pickup, and you have to go, put out maps or something like that, and you have this nasty habit of wanting to make sure everything's going well. Well, again, you can hit this hamburger, and you can go to check-in stats here, and now we can see that 25% of the people have been checked in. So it's a great way to remotely monitor how packet pickup's going. Or you can train your race, if you're not the one there, like your race director, on how to use the check-in app. And again, you can monitor remotely. There are some other functions on here. So locking the application is something that folks use when They don't want volunteers to go in and mess with different settings. I've not found that many volunteers are going in. Usually once they're at packet pickup, they're busy and they're not having time to go play in the application. But the locking application removes their ability to get out of this functionality, so they can't get to anything up here. So really quickly, that is how, just generally speaking, how we check someone in. So if we, the other thing that I wanted to talk briefly about is the ability to get people registered on site. And so what my suggestion is here, and this is our normal race at a whopping $0. Somebody signs up, they go through the normal run sign up process. And if you're already logged in, it gives you a lot of options. So many of you, I'm assuming if you're on this webinar, have used RunSignup in some capacity for registration. So one way to do it on site that is super helpful if you're taking cash payments is by going into Go RaceDay and RaceDay registration. And you have a number of different entry modes here. Our suggestion is using the Expo Mode. So Expo Mode allows you to do several things. The others are fine. Expo Mode, more than anything, it allows you, and I suggest using private Expo Mode, it allows you to leave online registration on if you want to leave it on. You can allow registrations only through the Kiosk, Sign Up app, or Expo, but in many scenarios, you're wanting online registration on to keep people coming in, registering, so you don't have to enter in paper reg. So Expo Mode password, we set a password to get into this so that not just anybody can open up the Expo Mode. And I'm gonna set these passwords both as password 99 for offline payment and for Expo Mode. Offline payment is the same thing if you use some of the other RaceDay registration tools is your cash password. So the assumption is that this password is going to be given to your volunteer or cashier. And that when this password is entered, it's essentially saying we received payments. So if you want to assign the bib number through the Expo Mode, you can right after they finish paying. I'm not going to do that for right now, but I am going to hit Save Changes. So now that I have my changes saved, this link is how I get into private Expo Mode. So if I go into this, it's going to look, well, first off, it's going to drop me into my password, which I said is password 99. And it drops you into exactly what it looks like in RunSignup. And many of you might be thinking, well, I don't want to have them confirm their email and password and all this stuff. So what we suggest is going in and also going into fast. And if you just use this little quick search function up here to fast registration options, of course, this does my MFA every single time. So give me one moment. All right, so if we go back in and if we go down to Expo Mode registration options, we're going to enable fast registration in Expo Mode. And here's where we can remove questions to speed up on-site registration. So let's say we don't care about any of the custom questions. So you see how these custom questions go away? And if we don't want any of these things on site, just so we can deal with throughput, we can select all of them. A lot of times these are my current set, like this is what my settings are for fast registration. And then also I click allow participants to register without creating an account. Now, I would never suggest this on like a normal, like run of the mill, you're out just trying to get people to register for your event. However, on site, it does speed things up. So now if I go to save settings, you will see here, if I hit refresh, you're going to see the confirm email, confirm password gone. You're going to see phone number go away. You're going to see street address go away. All of that's going to go away when I hit refresh. So now, it's up to you how much information you need to time your event. But now we can say we're going to register a friend, and we're going to say it's, I don't know. Doug, what's your favorite superhero?
Batman, I guess.
Batman? Just so we'll just call him Batman, so we have two names. How about that? And I use my favorite test email address. I'm sure that email address has quite a few emails in it from me. And then we can set our birth date as whatever we need it to be. And then in this scenario, you might think, well, I don't want to have them enter all of this in. This isn't autofill. So if I just put in my zip code, it goes ahead and fills out everything. The event's chosen. The beauty of Expo Mode is now if I wanted to, I can add another registrant. In Kiosk Mode, you're not able to register multiple people. So we're going to agree to this. We're going to continue through. We're going to select a t-shirt because we left that option. We left that option on the giveaway. And so it's a $0 fee. So we don't actually have to put in the offline payment password. So I'm going to hit complete registration, and now we're in there. So if we go into, and I'm going to get notification that I just registered. So now if we go into our participants, the participant is going to be in there. So Batman is in there with no bib number. So on the app, the beauty of having all of this working together is now, if you had a paper registration form, Batman's never going to be on it because we printed it out yesterday and today is packet pickup. So if I pull down, or if I go in and search for Batman, he's in there. So currently, we don't have a bib number assigned. So if we click in here to Batman and hit check-in, because it's required, we now have to put in the bib number. Now keep in mind, we don't have that the setting currently because I don't have a bib in front of me with a barcode. But the bib number you can set as, we pull the next one out of Doug's box that he has, and I think it's like 507 or something like that. We hit assign. So now when you go in or you sync with your timing equipment, give me 1 second. It will be in there. Of course. Oh, you know what? I've got my phone in airplane mode. Sorry, I was receiving text. And so it filters in, and in our system, there it is. So, and it might have just cached for 10 or 15 seconds, but it filters in. And so now if you're exporting this into Agee, you've got bib numbers that have been assigned within the check-in app. So overall, that covers most of the iterations of how our system, I mean, there's plenty more, but on a very basic level of both using different, we know Doug went through one, but there's several different bib assignment tools that you can use. So he used, I believe it was the assign bib numbers. You can also do assign bib numbers at time of registration. And this is if you have a range of like 1 to 200, and you just want to say the first person that registers gets number 1, the next person is number 2. And that will auto assign any people that register through this. It'll auto assign that bib number. So that will, the moment they register, about, I don't know, 10 or 15 seconds later, they'll be on the check-in app and they'll already have their bib number assigned. So you can play around, and honestly, if you have additional questions about some of the bib assignment functions, feel free to let us know. But in regards to on-site registration, again, we're using the RaceDay registration, Expo Mode, and private Expo Mode. And we're also using the fast registration options, which we turned on for Expo Mode, and we removed anything that we didn't want on there. And then we set up some presets in the check-in app. So we went into Go RaceDay in the check-in app, and we turned on the check-in app, and we set our settings in the check-in app. So I do see a few questions from Brian. I will try to go through. Just so you guys know, you can ask questions. If you have any questions, I'll try to go through some of these. Brian, sorry, I was on a roll and didn't want to get. Let's see. The custom preset, he says he created one for each race. And he always turns on the allow personal info edits and allow giveaway edits. So I agree with him if you are the one managing that. So, and what he's saying is, if I go into settings and I want to edit the preset, and this is the Agee preset that we made, and we want to allow information changes. So you see this section that allows information changes. So we don't have two events for this, but let's say we want to allow giveaway edits and allow edited personal info. So in this scenario, if we go back and we go to check in Wonder Woman, we can change her giveaway to a large, and we can edit her personal info to say Wonder Woman's really a man. And we just hit save info at the bottom. So let's say we're going to change her age. You know, she's actually 39. So we can check her in, and that info will be updated in the database. So I do caution you on that. If you've got volunteers that you really trust, perfect. If you don't, then limiting the ability to change things is not the worst idea. But if you were the one there, absolutely. It is super, super helpful if you or one of your staff is managing packet pickup. So let's see, it looks like Sean says, is it possible to assign bib numbers at time of registration for pre-registered? Absolutely. So that would be, essentially that's what we just did, Sean. So Doug went in and he assigned bib numbers. Doug's question is, can you assign bib numbers at time of registration for pre-registered and then dynamic on race day? So what Doug did is he went to assign bib numbers, and he clicked on this event, and I don't know which one you clicked, Doug, but you can change the order and you can put the number in on, and honestly, we can do this right now on 1, 2, 3, and we can click override existing bib numbers. And granted, it's not going to update absolutely immediately, but all you need to do is set this and hit assign bib numbers. Well, I actually didn't hit overwrite. So anyone else that hadn't had a bib number assigned would have gotten one. That does not continue on. If you want to assign, so then, Sean, all you would do is dynamically assign them within the app after that. So that's not continuously assigning them. If you want to continuously assign them, you can assign bib numbers at time of registration. And that's where we go in and set our range. And as people register, they'll be assigned the next person until those numbers run out. The other way, let's say you guys time triathlons, for instance, like a pool swim triathlon, where you need to seed people by swim time. That in that scenario, or let's say you have a very specific way you want to assign bib numbers, you can go to manually import bib and chip numbers. And so if you go to this, you can actually have a CSV file, and I do not have one on this computer. but you'll have one, and all you need is the reg ID and the bib number, those two columns. So you would just go to participants, view participants, and you can export this to a CSV. So I can download this report as CSV. I can open it up. I don't know if it'll open on the screen or not. I don't know where it's going to open, honestly. Well, in the back. And so you can go in and clear out all of this other information, and you just need a column of reg ID and column of bib. And then you can import that back in to your Go RaceDay bibs in the import bib and chip. So there's a number of different ways you can assign those. Sean, I hope that answered your question in regards to, we actually just did what you're talking about because we dynamically assigned Batman's bib number. And these guys were assigned when Doug assigned them earlier. So let's see. Yes, Brian, Expo Mode is recommended over the sign up app because it allows for multiple people to register. If you decide to use one of the other ones, and Batman and his sidekick Robin show up at the same time, and Batman's going to pay for both of them, they have to sign up twice, and he's got to pay, like, put in his card information twice. So that's why we suggest the Expo Mode. And I think I just deleted somebody's question accidentally, so I apologize if somebody else asked a question after that. And let's see, I'm looking for any other. So Brian also asked, removing age is only important if they're not doing dynamic bib assignment. Correct. If you're doing dynamic bib assignment, it doesn't matter if their age is in there because they're not searching for that age bib. I only remove the age if, honestly, a lot of times I start bib numbers with 101 because I have very few people racing over 100 years old, and that way there's no confusion. Let's see, and it looks like Brian agreed that all changes should be made in RunSignup, which he does at the check-in station, which these changes do push to RunSignup. So any changes made in the app are changes made in RunSignup. And then let's see, Ron, why are there two ranges? So there's two ranges. Let's say you had two different sets of bib ranges. Like you had 1 through 1,000 of the actual bibs. So what he's asking about are the auto assign. So there's two different bib ranges. So maybe we purchased bib for the race. We purchased bibs 1 through 300, but it looks like they're going to have 350, and we happen to have a set of stock bibs of, like, I don't know, 1,800 to 2,000 of just stock bibs. We can set that up, and it queues over from, instead of hitting 301, it starts next to, let's be clean with it and start at 1801. And then it started at 1801. Other people sometimes have set bib ranges for like their color coordinated bibs, and then kind of an overflow pot of bibs just in case, like their marathon overflows and their 5K, but their half marathon stays in range. They can share this. You can share these ranges, and it's a lot of times just that second range. If people are going over what they currently have. Joseph, yes, we will be posting this online, and we will be doing additional webinars on this in the future. So I don't know if all of them will be Agee specific, but I am going to begin doing some additional webinars on the RaceDay tools and kind of taking deeper dives into specific, like, bib assignments and things like that. So yes, we will be doing some additional webinars. And Ron, it looks like that answered your question. there any other question? All right, Joseph. So kiosk mode with multiple registrants, if you go into kiosk mode, you can actually only register one person at a time. So that's the main difference. There are, let's see, RaceDay registration. So you can set up cache passwords and things like this. And you can allow bib assignment through the kiosk, but in all honesty, like in my personal opinion, the ability to register multiple people at the same time supersedes just about everything else, because the moment, you know, a mother or father has to do it twice to get them and their child in, you end up getting either an angry glare or an angry email about how slow things were. Teresa. My last race, the director said she imported paper registrations that didn't appear on my side, but she could see them on her side. I don't know how that could have happened, and so the way this would have worked is under participants and import paper entries. You can actually manually import people here, or you could do a CSV import. If I had to guess, Teresa, I would say that they probably did not have internet access or poor internet access, and so it didn't push up. Because if you still can't see that data on RunSignup, then I'm guessing it was an upload issue. But if you want to shoot me an email at crisp@RunSignup, CRISP at RunSignup, I can take a look at it or pass it along to an AM to take a look at. Great. Are there any other questions? Doug, do you have anything to add to our webinar here?
No, the only thing I might add is with the bid assignment, the dynamic bid assignment. Again, this is kind of my style, but everybody kind of has their own little twist to it. If you have a Saturday race, most race directors want to assign or get packets together on Friday. So what I would do is essentially assign everybody who has registered up through Thursday night a bib number, and then I would set up auto assign bib at registration time for anybody who's registers after that time but before race day. So that kind of that, along with the safeguard that Brian has now with the make sure, you know, the required bib number, it really makes it hard for someone to get through without having a bib number. So.
And so on that note, if you can do it that two ways. So you can go in and just assign the bib numbers for right now, and it sets to whoever's currently registered. Or the other way you can do it, if you go, if we don't have any bib numbers assigned at all, and you go into assign bib numbers, and your range, again, if you have a range, is like 1 to 500, and all you have to do is click this button, assign bibs to people who have already registered if you've not yet assigned them, and it assigns the bibs to everyone who was registered up to that point, and then continuously assigns the next bib as people register. Mm-hmm. So you can do that, and like that kind of takes care of whoever's registered to that point. And again, it's dynamically assigning the people as they register. So I think it was Sean that asked earlier about, you know, pre-assigning or assigning pre-registrations and then dynamically assigning walk-ups. So just to be clear, we call this auto assignment, what we're doing right here. Dynamic assignment is what we did when we went in and we assigned Batman's bib number through the app, because we just picked up the next bib and we punched it in dynamically and handed it to him. So with kiosk mode, yes, you still need to set up a payment account, a registration period, and a registration amount, correct. You will need a payment account set up for kiosk or Expo mode. unless you have unless your amount is zero, and then there's no payment account needed. Let's see. Brian also said, common question I get is how to use RaceDay tools if you didn't use RunSignup for registration. So really quickly, obviously we want you to use RunSignup for registration, but you can import participants in. And so that's where we went into participants and import. So you can import participants in either manually or with a CSV import. And then those participants are in there just like our current participants. And you can, I mean, our tools are, free to use. And we put that out there and with the hopes that everyone will, see how well things integrate and will think to themselves, look, it would just be easier when all is said and done if we just moved everything over to RunSignup, because then we wouldn't have to do this data transfer. So everything we've gone through, other than RaceDay registration, you could import participants and use your check-in app and dynamically assign Bib numbers and use the Bib assignment tools. And another quick and helpful thing is if you ever want to go into participants and you want to go to export, you can use this build Bib labels function right here. A lot of scoring platforms have this as well. So, but if you build Bib labels, you can actually set whatever fields. All you have to do is and as soon as you put another question mark in there, you can select whatever. I don't even know if I have emergency contact in this race, but let's say whatever, email address. And so we sort by bib number, and I want to output a full column, and I generate Bib labels. And now I've got populates a printable file that I can print on those Avery 5160 labels. So another just a quick how-to on that might be helpful. So let's see, I got a couple more questions. Joe, would you recommend keeping a paper registration due to internet issues? If you think that you're gonna have internet issues, yes, I would, absolutely. Most events have pretty good internet. I always carry 1 or 2 MiFis just in case they don't, and we rarely have issues. Bruce asked credit card transactions. I'm not sure what you mean, but for credit card transactions on this, again, like I should have if I put a price in, hold on one sec. If I change this pricing, come on. If I change this pricing to $10, there will be credit card. It'll show credit card information. So the only reason why we click next registrant and we go in and telling you, always. So, sorry, friend. Oh, what did I do? Oh, sorry, we put a minimum age in this race. Still not old enough? And the only thing we're doing here is I'm just showing that when we get to the screen, your payment information, Bruce, is right here. And this is where that offline payment code comes in. The only reason why it didn't show up the first time is because we didn't have, like, the amount was 0. So this is where we could use that I think it was password 99 or something like that. And let's see, I think, yeah, and that you would just put in your credit card payment, confirm payment, and processing is built in as per your same pricing here. So if I hit refresh, this is going to be $10 now too. Let's see. Okay. What about teams? So we don't have teams set up for this event, but you can set up teams and absolutely have all of this work for teams. Granted, in fast registration mode, sorry, I hit back instead of. For fast registration mode, we removed all of that kind of information, but you could easily go back in and turn it back on, Joe. And so and Brian's pointing out, when you get to that credit card information, you should make sure somebody's there to click next participant, so no credit card information is showing. Sorry, I can't read this at the same time. But that once they hit submit, that credit card information does go away. Are there any other questions? I think we were set at 30 minutes, but we're a little bit past that now. Well, if there are no other questions, Doug and I thank you for joining us, and I'm sure Brian does as well. And again, if you do have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to me about the RunSignup side, or Brian. I'm sure Doug would answer your questions as well, but Brian on the Agee side. Or feel free to reach out to your account manager as well. I'm sure they have a wealth of knowledge for you. But if you do have timing specific, like RaceDay tools questions, feel free to reach out to me. Again, my email address is crisp, CRISP, at runsignup.com. And you're very welcome, John. And thanks, Brian. And yeah, we appreciate you guys being with us. And let us know if you need anything else from RunSignup. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys.